Hi everyone and welcome. So today, by popular request, we are going to see what kind of build I am using on the live server. This is a video I have been very reluctant to make, not because I don't want to share my stuff, but because this is actually not a clean build. This is the most abusive build I have ever used on Neverwinter, and this is a build that is very much on the buyers beware side. This is something that is going to be nerfed at some point. There are a lot of dirty bugs I'm using to get so many action points on the live server, and this is relying on pretty much all of the broken mechanics that the water clerics have. We are a lucky class actually. Well, lucky is an understatement. We are one of the most broken class in the game. Expect that all our bugs, or most of our bugs, are beneficial. There aren't many negative bugs on the Devoted Cleric, which is why the class is so strong actually currently on the live server. There are a lot of broken things, and this isn't something you should invest too much into, because, well, if you invest too much into it, you are going to be quite disappointed, because, well, it can cost up to 100 million to build. Yeah, I'm not joking. If you get this lovely mount, what is it already? Mounts here. Yeah, if you get this thing, this is the snail. We're on preview, don't worry. If you use the snail, you are going to actually spend a lot of astral diamonds, and this is something that's, well, this is going to be nerfed at some point. I'm sorry. Anointed army is too good and is going to be nerfed, and I am taking care of that. So be careful when you are, of course, listen to this guide, because, well, this is something that will not last forever, and we are due for rework in module 11, and this is probably, Anointed army is probably the skill that is going to be nerfed the most, because it's too good, and our action point gain mechanics are going to be fixed, because I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to report pretty much every bug I am mentioning in that video, and if the devs don't fix it, well, that's their problem, not mine. So this is why I'm making this video. So there are going to be two parts to that mini gain. The first part, which is this one, is we are going to cover the action point gain mechanics as a Devoted Cleric and in the game in general, but especially as a Cleric. There are a lot of bugs we are going to use, so be careful when using that. You are going to exploit the game pretty badly, because, well, there are a lot of not working as intended stuff, and there's a lot of broken things in general, so be careful and keep that in mind. And honestly, if you are not into that kind of cheat, you should be using the Divine Oracle build I have been making I've been making some time ago, because this is much more, yeah, this is less buggy, this is less relying on bugs, and this is quite a good build too. So, well, keep that in mind when you are using what I'm going to show you. So let's take a look at the action point gains mechanic first. So this is actually quite interesting, because, well, it's not actually working as intended. This is one of the broken mechanics you are going to face with the action point monster click. This is one of the biggest bug we have, or biggest not working as intended feature we have. So let's equip just a 1% action gain companion, and let's see how much we gain. So we are supposed to be at 48%, but we are actually at 48.1%, which means that it's actually not additive, but we are actually looking at a mechanic that is multiplicative, which means that every source of action point gain is going to multiply with other source of action point gains, which means that you are going to reach quite an intended level of action point gains. And of course, this is one of the way you are going to reach the Holy Grail, which should be around 150 action point gains. Yeah, this is the point at which you pretty much don't need any more action point gains, because there's no point going further than that. You wouldn't even need to get how is it called already? Yeah, so the burning set. You wouldn't need to use the Devoted Cleric icon to spam daily spells at a crazy fast rate. So this is something that's actually quite broken. It should be fixed one day, but I doubt it will, so, because this is cryptic and we all know they don't fix things. So the action point gain mechanic itself is the first broken thing you are going to use if you are using, of course, that kind of build. So when you play the action point monster again cleric, the first thing you should pay attention to, of course, is the class feature you're using. You can't play the action point monster again cleric without using Holy Fervor, because it's a flat 20% increase of your action point gain. Of course, it's a bit more than that, as we've seen the action point gain mechanic is a bit broken, but overall it's going to increase your action point gain by quite a lot, a bit more than 20%, because it's going to multiply other sources of action point gain, but this is something you absolutely cannot skip when playing, of course, this kind of build. The next thing you should pay attention to, of course, is your feats, and especially you must pick Gift of Haste, because, well, Gift of Haste has quite interesting mechanic. It's going to give you action points when you receive some heal over time, not all heal over time, we will get into that later, but you are getting actually more than 5% of your action points, because it's affected by your action point gains. And of course, if you use heals on your friends, it's also going to be affected by their action point gains, which means that if you have, let's say, 100% action point gain, well, it's going to give you 10% of your total action points over 5 seconds, which is actually quite interesting. This is how you completely break the action point gain mechanic in group content. And this is, of course, something you should absolutely be using when you play a buff cleric, relying on, of course, action points. So don't pay attention to the feeds or the one I'll suggest in the next video. I want to keep a bit of surprise. So now let's take a look at spells. So now there's something that I want to talk about spells, because, well, this is an unintended mechanic. So, well, it's not completely unintended, but this is a mechanic that they have tried to remove since the beta of the game, but this is something that is still available in large amounts to clerics. We are actually the last class having action point gain based on the number of target hits. And if we use, for instance, Bastion of Heals, we are going to get much more action points if we hit several targets instead of one. If you hit only one target, you are going to get a flat value, which is rather small, but if you hit 2, 3 or more targets, you are going to get much more action points from Bastion of Heals. This is something that is slowly removed by the dev from the game, because that was also the sunburst mechanics. It was a bit broken, but it has been removed. So we can assume this is an unintended feature, but it's also working on Living Low, which is quite important because this is a buff and we are going to use that feature quite a lot. And this is actually one of the most interesting spells to use as an action point monster gain cleric, because we are going to use it very often. It's a buff, it's a debuff, it's a heal also. So we are going to trigger Gift of Haste, we are going to trigger heal over times with Gift of Haste. We are going to gain action point based on the number of friendly targets we use, which is completely broken. It's one of the best way to get action points in the game. This is Living Low. Well, of course there are others, but it's one of the best way to get action points in this kind of buffer build. And well, this is something that you can't really replace Living Low in that context. Also, you have to keep in mind that Living Low is the only spell that triggers healing action, which is quite interesting because we are going to keep to use it, because, well, this is our best way to get action points. Well, why not increasing it, and why would we take that for greater fortune instead? No, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We are going to use healing action because, well, it benefits the only spells that we are going to use as a heal anyway, so that's a good thing. Okay, so as you can see, we are now in combat, and let me show you something a bit special. Okay, currently there's nothing going on. We are not getting any action points while in combat. We don't have a cloak, we don't really have anything special. We don't have any boon, we don't have any special feat. Well, the basic feats we need. And we don't have any special spell, we don't have any special mounting similar bonus, so now let's equip the drone set. Let's see. So there's a heal over time when we take damage. Okay, so That's going to last 30 seconds, and it's going to trigger a gift of haste for the entire duration, and it's going to last even longer after it expires. In theory, it doesn't expire. I've tested it for a few minutes, and as long as you're in combat, it's going to keep proccing gift of haste indefinitely. So as long as you don't leave combat, the drone set is actually good to trigger gift of haste indefinitely. This is clearly a bug. I'm not saying it's something you should use, but it's something you can keep in mind if you are in for long boss battles. Actually, it can be very useful if you don't leave combat at all. See, it keeps proccing. It's still there. We're still getting action points way after the heal over time expires, and we are getting action points infinitely. That is fantastic. This is one of the good things about having this weapon set. It's not great overall for buff cleric, but it has some uses. So let's waste a bit of action point. Okay, I think we have we have the mount. We could have removed the mount. Yeah, that's not. Would be better. But anyway, we are still getting action points for free. And heal expired, and we're still getting action points. So that's it for the drone set. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Imperial Dragon Cloak. This is actually quite an interesting item because, well, it has some quite unique bugs you can use if you are into that kind of things. So it's supposed to grant 4 potion action point every 3 seconds. So this is the only item we have equipped right now which gives action points. We have how many action point gain? We have 4 potions. That's okay. That's not going to alter the result. So we are getting 4 potion action points pretty much every 3 seconds. Yeah, we are going to count. Let's just waste this action point. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is working as intended, but we are going to break that thing, of course, because okay, we are now fully equipped. We are 47%. We have 47% action point gain. We don't have the drone set icon because that would alter the results. But let's see how it affects now the action point gain from the Imperial Dragon Cloak. So we are still getting 4% action points every few seconds. But let's count now how much it affects, how fast we are getting action points. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2. Yeah, we are getting actually action points much faster. There is a tick in which we are getting action points much faster due to our action point gain. So sometimes it's 3 seconds, sometimes it's 1 second, sometimes it's going to be 2. I don't know exactly when it happens, but action point gains definitely increases the rate at which the Imperial Dragon Cloaks give you action points. So this is something you should be using if you are playing a debuff Devoted Cleric based on action points. And this is of course a bug, so you are not forced to use it, but this is one of the possibilities you have, and you can use such items if that's something you want to do. So that's it for the Imperial Dragon Cloak. So, when playing an action point gain based Anointed Champion Devoted Cleric, of course there are specific companions you should be using because they are optimal way with your build. So the ones I am recommended first is the Cell Sword. So the Cell Sword has a debuff. You unlock it at rank 30, but of course it also has power you are going to share with Anointed Army. The other companions I am recommending are the Sprite companion, which have action point gains. There are not many good companions with passives with active bonuses the cleric have used for. I don't have the third sprite, but you should be using all 3 sprites because, well, they are going to give a bit more than 2% action point because of the broken action point gain mechanics. And of course I'm going to recommend using the chicken because, well, that's a bit of special case, but Actually, when you are using Anointed Army, you are going to take the full damage before mitigation from the NPCs, and the chicken is going to be triggered by this kind of damage. And of course, if it's not supposed to be a one-shot to your character, even if you don't die with thanks to Anointed Army, you are going to have the chicken up, and you are not going to take a lot of damage, which means that you are going to be able to relocate much faster. And this is actually interesting because you can have perma chicken. Let's just say it clearly, you are going to have perma chicken if you are using Anointed Army in most of the content. It doesn't work very well from Breaker's Island due to the fact that NPCs hit for too much damage, but in most of the other content you are going to be able to trigger perma chicken, which is actually quite interesting thanks to Anointed Army. You are actually going to want to lose your action Anointed Army stacks because you want to take damage to get the perma chicken. This is a bit counterintuitive, but it works pretty well, and it's actually quite fun to walk that fast in, in group content. So that's it for our companions. So now let's examine our mounts option. What equip power are we going to use? Well, the first one I want to show you is the power one. Let's just show you that you can actually share it through Anointed Army. We have a bit of power from the sellsword and from the symbol, but it's not really important. So let's just cast this one. Let's cast this. So we have gained about half of our power. Yeah, we have gained 1000 powers, which means that the power from the mount works with Anointed Army. So this is our first option. The other options we have is where is it? Yeah, quick action, which from the coastal snake or from the what's it called already? Oh, I'm forgetting names. The apparatus of Gon. So this is of course the most expensive option. This isn't something I actually recommend using because it's going to be quite complicated to justify buying it if action point gain is nerfed at some point. This is a 40 million the actual Astral Diamond purchase. This is a 1.5 million purchase, and you gain 10% market action point for the measly cost of 39 million Astral Diamonds. No, this isn't worth it. In my opinion, this isn't something you should be buying. You should get that, and it's going to be beneficial while it was, and at some point action point gain is going to be looked at, and the perma action Anointed Army build is going to be nerfed at some point. So this isn't something you should be using, but if you are into spending that much Astral Diamonds, that's okay. Go for it. This is the other options we have. Of course, there is also the Manticore, which is sharing a bit of power. There is the Black Ice Warhorse that I don't have right now, which is also sharing power. That's about it for mounts. There are quite a lot of options, and that's really up to you to determine which one you want to use. If you want to buff more, you should pick a power bonus mount. If you want to generate more action points because you feel that you can't cast Anointed Army fast enough, well, you should be using a quick action mount. So this is really up to you. I'm not going to make the decision for you. This is something you should be looking at when you play your Devoted Cleric. What do you need the most? What do you need the most when you play a large variety of content? Don't just play one dungeon and think, okay, I'm going to use that because, well, in this tier 1 dungeon I have enough action point gain. But if you are playing something like Breaker's Island, you are going to dodge a lot more, which means that you are going to have a lot of downtime on action point generation. So a quick action mount may have some uses if you play some quite difficult content. So keep that in mind, make the decision for yourself, and well, enjoy your cleric. So now let's cover boons quickly. They're not the biggest part of your action point gain build, but they're quite important actually, because you are going to be able to get some recovery. You should pick recovery over any other stat, and of course you are going to be able to get where is it already? No, not resistance ignore, not this, that. Yeah, you are going to be able to get some action point gain bonuses. So this is the ones you should be picking. And of course there's something a bit special I want to mention, because that's actually quite useful when you are playing the power sharing buff cleric. This is a round punching menace. Round punching menace actually is shared with your allies, so when you gain 50 stacks of madness, which actually you are going to get it quite fast. You gain stacks pretty fast when you use this, so you are going to get stacks pretty fast, and you are going to be able to share 2,000 more power with your allies and their companions, which isn't a small buff actually. This is quite significant. It's going to be one of the fun little tricks you can use as a buffer cleric. And of course, one of the things you should know with Round Punching Menace is that it's going to be triggered by your companion attacking too, which means that if you have a companion attacking quite fast, an active companion attacking fast, it's going to be helpful in that context. So this is it for today's video. I hope you learned something about action point generation as a Devoted Cleric. I hope you are going to be able to make beneficial decisions for your Anointed Champion power sharing cleric. And this is it for today's video. In the following video, I am going to share the build with you and the logic behind the build. So this is it, and thanks for watching.